some fender hash slash hood stripes on a Dodge Dart. These procedures will work for almost any fender hash with tape install. What you're going to need is some soap and water mixture, just 2 to 3 drops of dish soap inside with this water, with a bottle this size will be good mixture. You're going to need a hairdryer or a heat gun. You're going to need a rag, some tape, some string, and then a grease pencil if you have one. If not, tape should work just fine. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to make sure your surface is really clean. If you have wax on it, you're going to want to use a clay bar or something like that to get the wax off. There's no wax on these stripes. Once you spray this down and clean it real good, the whole surface wherever you're going to be installing your stripes, get it nice and clean and good to go. So once that's all clean, obviously you want to do a better job than that. I cleaned this prior to the video. So the next thing you want to do is once you get your stripes lined up and set, like we did on this side over here, you're going to want to run a string across and make sure you're getting it level. Once you get the string across and you see that your stripes are symmetrical, you go ahead and make a line with a grease pencil or a piece of tape. And you're going to work off that line and install the stripes. Alright, now what we're going to do is once you have your mark made and where you want to work off of your stripe, you're going to go ahead and lay your stripe down and you're going to line it up. Now if your stripe that you ordered from us ends in your wheel well, that's fine. Make sure you get your angle correct and that you have enough length to make it all the way into the wheel well. If it's like this stripe and it ends on the car, you're going to want to eyeball it, make sure that you're level going with the line of the car, and you want to make sure that your angle here is level with that. You might need a second person to tell you from a far distance. But once you get it set, go ahead and tape it down just like that, and then you're going to grab your, you can flip it up like this, and then you're going to wet the area down real nice and good. Make sure it's free of any debris that may have gotten in here. If you have any, leaves or dirt that's sprayed in here, that'll get underneath the vinyl and it'll ruin it. So once you get that nice and wet, you go ahead and start removing your backing tape. Sometimes this may be a little bit difficult, but once you get a corner going, just make sure you hold it down. Try not to touch the vinyl as best you can, and if it's windy out like it is for me, go ahead and spray it down before you pull it all the way off, because if it flips over on itself, it's done. Now you got that all the way, and you go ahead and spray it down again. So now that that's all sprayed down, this is another little good thing. I like to kind of get some of the excess off of there. That'll help this process go. Alright, now you just take your stripe like you had it, and the line slipped off, which is fine. I can still get my line correct. This line over here stayed right. So again, even though you already had it lined up with the tape, make sure that you get your line going again. Make sure it's all correct like that, and go ahead and start pressing it down. Now this is very slippery. It'll move around quite a bit until you apply heat and squeegee out the water. And one thing you want to do before you do this is you want to actually spray your tape down. That's going to help it conform to the edges a lot better. Once that's down, you're going to go ahead and start applying heat and squeegeeing out the bubbles and all the water underneath. It'll all come right out, as you can see. You don't want to hold this hair dryer or the heat gun too close to the vinyl or the paint. You don't want to hurt your car. You don't want to hurt the vinyl. So a nice distance away, as long as it's enough to start drying it and getting it to stick. So there you have that. Basically you're going to continue this process for quite a while until all the water and bubbles are out and it's starting to stick. Now every once in a while you can give it a check. Make sure your line is still good, because once this starts to set, it's on there for good and you can't adjust it. Alright, so now that we have it squeegeed out, all the liquid, and we have the heat gun applied to it and it seems to be pretty dry, what we do is we test one corner. You're just going to peel up the tape and you're going to pull back. Now this is really important. You don't want to pull out with the tape like this. You want to get it down on itself and start pulling back like that. So that's how we do it. We test it. I can see that it's staying down. So with these stripes, since they have a hood portion, what we're going to want to do is you're going to take an X-Acto knife, a really, really sharp one. You don't want it to be dull at all because it'll snag the vinyl. But once you get it in here, you can move in, you get it in here and you start cutting, you want to keep it right down the middle. Just like that. Now that that's cut that way, now we can go ahead and start removing our tape. Now, if at any time you start to get bubbles when you're removing this, and I'm talking big bubbles, you might get small ones, but if the vinyl starts to lift off the car, go ahead and push it back down, hit it with a heat gun again, and start over. It will not hurt it. So I have some bubbles right there, but they're not a big deal. Any real small bubbles can be worked out or can be gotten rid of by the sun. Once you get the tape all the way off, always keeping it nice and close to the car. See, there's some bubbles there, but they can be worked out with your fingers. No big deal, and that's fine. And then same with the edge here. You want to peel up, do kind of a rolling down motion there, keeping it close to the vinyl, and peeling it off. Again, it's staying down. If at any time this were to come up, I would just start over after it dried a little bit more. You can see how that all came up? No, that's fine. And work that down. Now you work the bubbles out with your fingers. There you go. Alright. Alright, so after you have your tape removed and most of your bubbles worked out of the edges, you go ahead and take your heat gun again, and now what you're going to do is wrap this vinyl inside the hood. Now if you had some fender hash that had a lot of excess, because we sell some that go way in here, you can just trim them and tuck them in there as well, or into the wheel well. Again, you don't want to get too close to the vinyl because it'll heat it up, and you also could burn your hand with a proper heat gun. So you want to keep just working it down until it's wrapped in the hood. Once you have that all done, it could take a little while as it's taken here, but we'll come back to that one later. But you get the idea. You can keep wrapping it, keep pushing it in. And you do the same thing down here. And once you get all that wrapped out and the bubbles removed, you're going to want to let this sit for at least 24 hours before you expose it to any severe weather. I wouldn't go driving down the road in rain or anything like that, as water could get under the vinyl. Obviously, the best thing to do is to let it bake out in the sun. That'll get rid of all your bubbles and it'll really set it in. Also, before the install, you want to make sure that you're above 65 degrees. If it's any colder than that, this vinyl is not going to stick to the vehicle. Indoors is preferable at room temperature. That's all for now.